Welcome to the Career Success Secret Show. I'm your host, Mike Tomasello. Today, we're diving into a concept that has changed my life and changed my career. That's not a superlative. It has literally changed my life. Before we jump into the concept of 100% accountability, sometimes known as radical accountability, first, I want to thank all of you that have been listening all around the world. Cannot thank my listeners enough. I want to start out by thanking our listeners from our top countries, U.S. states, and U.S. cities. India has entered our top 3 countries. Thank you, India. I also want to do a quick shout out to our top 3 U.S. states. They are California, Texas, and Virginia. Yes, Virginia, welcome to our top 3. Our top 3 U.S. cities are Los Angeles, Ashburn, Virginia in the DMV area, and Mountain View, California. Thanks to each and every one of you for listening. So let's jump back into our topic. Today's topic can revolutionize your career no matter where you're at. Unhappy with how much money you're making? Be 100% accountable. Frustrated with your lack of a promotion or raise? Be 100% accountable. Job search results suck? Be 100% accountable. I didn't say that you would like this topic, but what I'm trying to say here is this might be the most important topic that you think of, that you possibly address in your entire life. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that some bad things haven't happened to you in your life. I'm not saying that some bad things haven't happened to you in your career. Probably things that you didn't deserve. I'm also not saying that there aren't people or institutions or bosses that are making your life and career difficult. But what I am saying is the person that has the most power to change these things and help you get what you want is you. Surprise! The person that has the most power to change these things and help you get what you want is you. I am saying that if you focus on who you can blame for what's not going right in your career, that you are giving up your power. That's right. You are probably giving up your power in one or multiple ways in your career or job search. You are way more freaking powerful than you give yourself credit for. Let's dive into the topic further. How often do you find yourself pointing fingers, blaming the economy, a bad boss, or just plain bad luck for your career? Now, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the economy is great. I'm not saying that you don't have a bad boss. But is it entirely their fault? Or even if it is entirely their fault, is it not true that there are things that you could be doing to make your situation better? Even if that thing to make your situation better is leaving, is getting a new job. And again, not saying that's easy. Not saying that we want to do that. But that is something within our power to do. So while external factors can certainly play a role, the truth is there's always something that you could be doing more of. There's always something that you can change. There is always something you can be learning or learning to get better at. So let's dive into what that might be for your career. Now, a major hurdle to success is a lack of taking complete ownership of your career journey. A major hurdle to success is a lack of taking complete ownership of your career journey. I've made this mistake. One of the Fortune 1000 companies I worked for was experiencing a lot of turnover. My boss and my boss's boss were giving me conflicting advice. If you've ever had 2 bosses that said different things, you know what I'm talking about here. Many people more experienced and even more successful than me, were being let go. I had all the reasons in the world to blame management, And to a certain extent, I did. But blaming management, blaming the stuff outside of my control didn't really do me much good. In hindsight, I could have tracked my metrics. I could have set more aggressive goals for myself. I could have studied and improved my skill set in the areas that management thought would be the key to my success. I could have practiced my presentations over and over again instead of just winging it. There were probably at least a dozen other things I could have done, but instead, by not taking responsibility, by just leaning into my anxiousness without doing anything about it, and blaming things outside of my control, I ended up giving up my power. At a different Fortune 1000 company I worked for, I had a new vice president take over my department, and they wanted to make radical changes. I had been having a lot of success there. I'd had great metrics, everything that they hired me to do. I was blowing things out of the water, and I had a great relationship with my boss. So I figured everything would take care of itself. That was my mistake. I found myself more and more misaligned with the department direction by the day, at least by the week. Did I attempt to meet the vice president and get to know them and learn their priorities? Nope. No, I did not. Did I take any courses or study any of the areas that were important to them? Nope. Again, no, I did not. Did I attempt to build relationships with other key stakeholders at my boss's level or higher? No, I did not. And so, just like you've probably done sometime in your career, I played the blame game. I played the they're doing it wrong game, and I almost played myself out of a great company and a great job until I started being proactive and figuring out what I could do differently, what actions I could take. So when I started doing that, I started taking my power back by taking accountability for my part in it. And turned out there was a heck of a lot that I could have been doing, some of which we just talked about. So what exactly does 100% accountability in your career look like? It's about taking full responsibility for your actions, your decisions, your lack of actions and your lack of decisions, your results, and even your mindset. It's about understanding that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you absolutely can control how you respond and what actions you take. And I think if you think about some of these questions, you will realize there are actions you're not taking. There are decisions you're not taking. There are questions you're not thinking about. Taking 100% accountability or radical accountability in your career means taking full responsibility for those actions, decisions, results, and mindset. It's about controlling how you respond and what actions you take in your career journey. Because if you're not taking accountability for those things, you are actually giving up your power. That's right. When you blame others, when you do not take accountability for your part in it, you are abdicating your power. In the context of job search, radical accountability involves looking inward if you're not getting the desired results. Instead of blaming external factors, which you have no friggin' control over, you should ask yourself some tough questions. Are your job search skills up to par? I'm not talking about your skills in terms of the job you do on a daily basis. I'm talking about resume, LinkedIn, interviewing. Have you taken a resume course lately, or are you relying on something you created 20 or 30 years ago? Have you gone through your resume line by line and looked for ways to improve each line lately? Have you studied job descriptions in your field and analyzed what are the most important factors for success in your field and in your industry lately? Have you taken a networking course lately or worked with a coach around the specific skill that you need to improve in? Do you network and maintain contact with your network on a weekly basis? Have you analyzed your messages and words to determine if you're communicating in a way that maximizes results? Man, my guess is there's at least one of those questions that the answer is no if you're struggling in your job search right now. Unhappy with lack of promotions or raises? What efforts have you made to get to know your boss and improve your relationship with your boss? What efforts have you made to learn about other important stakeholders beside your boss who might have a say in promotions and raises? Do you know what the most important factors for success are and what characteristics they're looking for in someone who gets promoted? If you haven't been promoted or gotten a raise in a while, my guess is you answered no to some of those questions. Have you demonstrated that you're generating more value than when you started? Done all of these things? I highly doubt it. Have you looked for something new? Well, let's say you have done all of those things. Well, maybe it is time to look for something new. Or are you complaining that someone hasn't saved you yet? I got bad news. No one's coming to save you. There's no Superman that's going to save you in your career. No Wonder Woman. Are you actively learning and improving your interview skills? Do you know what the most common interview questions are? Have you thought out and researched answers to all the top questions? Have you learned about your industry and know how its details affect your job? This is just a small list of things per category that you could be thinking about. Are you unhappy with your career? If so, how often do you think about your career? How often do you explore your interests? Are you volunteering for projects that interest you? Are you learning new skills that will move you closer to where you want to be? Again, my guess is you probably answered no to at least one of those questions if you're unhappy with your career. What is your mindset? Are you convinced that everyone else is at fault, but you never look at the small ways you can be better? Are you convinced that you're unemployable? Are you convinced that LinkedIn, the platform, sucks and no one gets hired that way? Are you convinced that your boss is a jerk despite you not making any effort to befriend them or get to know them? Have you studied the mindset of successful people in your field or your department? Have you studied how to get promoted? Have you studied how to get raises? Have you hired a coach to help you do these things? Have you taken a course or been coached, but you're not doing 100% of what you were instructed to do? Maybe it's not the coaching that's not working for you. Maybe it's not the course that's not working for you. Maybe it's that you're not accountable to actually implementing these things. Do you keep your workplace agreements or at least renegotiate them? Now, I'm not saying that employers or bosses aren't breaking agreements with you from time to time. Of course they are. And are you accomplishing everything in your job description or that your boss asks you to do? Are you keeping up your side of the agreement? How can you ask them to keep up their side of the agreement if you're not doing the same? Are you asking your boss for training, guidance, or renegotiating the agreement if their ask is unrealistic? Have you phoned it in? Have you phoned in your job and you're no longer trying? Be honest with yourself. Don't expect things to go well or to get better if you're not doing your part to make things better. Where in your own career have you given up your power? I'd love for you to think about that question. There's power in admitting where you have given up your power. Where can you be more accountable in your own life or career? There's power in admitting the answer to that question. If you learned or relearned something useful from listening to this podcast, we'd love if you followed the show, gave us a 5-star review, and left a comment or review. It truly does help us spread the word to more people. If each person told one more person about the show, we'd grow and we'd truly achieve our mission of helping millions and millions of people. I'm Mike Tomasello, and this was the Career Success Secret Show. Go out there and make your career happen.